Hello and welcome to Let's Talk SEO. So the few people that reached out to me over the weekend, I was not able to reply to everyone's emails. I got some messages on WhatsApp, some calls from friends who are in the SEO industry. And everyone has been asking me if I've made any new discoveries in the way of the helpful content update that ran last month. And there are a few observations that I've made, additional observations to what I've recorded a few weeks ago, and you can go watch that video if you have not. The Road to Recovery video for the helpful content update is, I think, maybe like 3 weeks old, so you can check that out. Now, apart from the Road to Recovery video, if you have been hit, that video should help you recover to a certain extent. But if you've not been hit, or for instance, if you have been hit, you've tried everything that I've talked about in the video, and you're still not seeing the kind of recovery that you would expect to see, even though it's just been 3 weeks. It usually takes around 4 to 6 weeks before you see any kind of recovery. And sometimes it takes up to the next algorithm update for that recovery to kick in. If you don't see any of the recovery, there's some more observations that I have made that I think a lot of people will find extremely useful. And so think of this as a checklist. If you're trying to rank your site today, you're starting your site from scratch, make sure that your website has these elements in them so that Google finds you more appealing, your website more appealing. Before I jump into the video, I just want to say that I offer SEO services. There's a link in the description. You can click the link, fill out the form, get in touch with me, and we can discuss what you need. If you're looking for a topical map mainly just maps out all the topics you should cover on your website to be seen as an authority by Google. There's a link to cloudseo.com. You can go there, buy the service directly from my website. I also offer website audit services, quite a few websites every month. I have lots of insights. So in addition to the audit, you also get kind of like an overview of what you should do to recover your site if you've been hit by an update, or for instance, if your site has declined and it's not really related to an update. It might be a malicious attack. It might be, Google now sees your content as being low quality. Regardless of the case, I will highlight what needs to be done, and you can just follow the steps and start recovering your website. Again, it's cloudseo.com. Click the link, go there, buy the service you need. Get in touch with me if you need any help. So now that we have that out of the way, let's jump into the video. Let's start with low quality user-generated content. The important thing to think about is many webmasters say because it's user-generated content, they really don't have any control over how that content looks, which is not the case. Google explicitly says that if user-generated content on your website is low quality, you might be hit. And in many instances, with the latest update, I have seen websites that were hit because they had low quality user-generated content. Now that it was in some instances, like in the instances of forums, they're entirely out of there's not a lot they can do, especially with larger forums. But if you run a small forum, if you accept comments on your website, if you accept comments on your e-commerce store, reviews on your e-commerce store, you need to make sure that those reviews are not AI generated. And by that I mean low quality AI generated reviews that mainly a lot of spammers will post those reviews to zillion websites. And so it's become easier for Google to detect these kind of reviews. And many times it's a spammer that just puts a backlink to the website with a review. Sometimes a spammer is trying to do the website harm, and they will post a review. Now, many website owners, including many of my clients, will have a word fence or a similar WordPress plugin, or if they're using a different platform, they would have a plugin that would by default block all comments for moderation. And so you need to moderate every comment. So you have to moderate every comment and approve it before it's posted to your product page, to your website page, your blog page, whatever may be the case. And so you need to diligently do that because user-generated content is instrumental in ranking. And so if you have like zero user-generated content, your product has 0 reviews, it will not do as well as a product that has lots of user-generated content in the way of reviews, especially if you're trying to rank a product page or your products on Google, or even trying to rank your blog posts on Google. So take user-generated content very, very seriously.
It's also worth reiterating the fact that Google's stance of AI content has been that as long as your content is high quality, it's useful to the reader, it's aligned with the intent of the search, and it is aligned with your website as a whole, and Google does not see it as being written to rank or developed to rank or created to rank, then it will rank. The problem with AI today is that if you're trying to generate content using AI, not only do you need to be provided with a very specific prompt, and it's usually a very long prompt, so you need to prime on the AI, then you need to serve the AI, and then you need to take the output and edit an output. That in itself is work. So if you're saying that you can just generate 500 pages a day and rank forever, initially you might see that boost in traffic as I am with my test websites. But eventually Google will get around to de-ranking the site. Those boxes are checked in terms of intent, in terms of quality, in terms of it being factually correct. You're going to have a problem ranking AI-generated content. In fact, you might even be penalized if you're using AI-generated content. The same goes for user-generated content that's AI-generated, because Google says you have the responsibility of making sure that your content is high quality, even if it's user-generated.
If it's user-generated. So this often means that you need to put in the time to make sure your editorial process is honed in so that whatever you're generating is high quality. In my opinion, and what I have seen with websites that generate AI content at scale is that it can be incredibly dangerous. And if user-generated content is the core part of your content base, then you have to keep a very close eye on what's going on with your site, who's generating the content, especially if you're like a forum, if you're like Reddit, a Q&A forum, and you're trying to rank, then this should be of prime importance. Also, what many people don't talk about, and I have noticed, is that if you have misinformation on your website, so user-generated conspiracy theories, misinformation can also adversely affect your website. Okay, so the next thing is detection, volume, and pace. And so with many of my websites and my clients' websites, I've seen that the response and the pace at which user-generated content comes onto the site in terms of reviews, product reviews, comments, is just monumental. It's 6-7 times what it was a year ago. And the reason is that many people are using plugins, and the plugin will, they put in a word, the plugin will pull information from an AI system and paste that onto the website, post that onto the website. And the same is a problem I've seen, the same issue I've seen is with Amazon reviews as well. And so many reviews are AI generated. Most people are not doing it because they want to harm your website, but they want to save time. And so they're buying products on websites, they're buying loads of products, and they want to leave a review, they want to leave a star, they want to leave 5 stars or 0 stars. And so the system, or whatever plugin they're using or whatever software they're using, will allow them to just post a star, and then it will be an AI generated response that's posted to the website. And this has happened a lot on Amazon. And Amazon has not cracked down on it, but Amazon is a giant. And I'm seeing this with all our clients' e-commerce sites that are doing very well. Otherwise, they're getting this, apart from them doing very well, they're getting this explosion of AI-generated content in terms of reviews, in terms of comments, and even in terms of the emails that they receive, the support receives. So that's another thing to keep an eye out on. AI detection is not easy, and so you can go and you can put it through any AI detection software. But even then, it's hit or miss. But you want to make sure that, like, I mostly just tell my clients, read the review. If it sounds that it's written by a human, it's useful. Let the review go through, because even I don't think that Google has a sure way of knowing that a piece of content is AI generated. unless it has specific markers which some copy and pasted content has. And I'll go and make another video on what markers I found with all AI generated content. They are a set of words, a set of terms that all content has, and it's specifically put, strategically placed within the content. It's like a watermark. If you generate enough content, you will see the pattern in the way those words appear, and where they appear and how they appear. So I'll make a separate video about that. The next thing to keep in mind is UX, or UI as it's called. So the combination of unhelpful content plus terrible UI or UX can be very bad for your website. And I'm seeing some websites that were doing very well. Their content is really good, but all of a sudden they're seeing a drop in their traffic. And that's most times because when I go to their website, I see that they have a really confusing interface. Their UX is very confusing. It's very hard to know, where to go to find what you're looking for. And that's essentially the crux of the situation. Is with many old websites that have been around for 10, 12 years, and that have been posting a lot of content on the site. They have a lot of duplicate content on the site. A lot of content is similar on the site. Their menus are entangled. Their footers are entangled. So if a user comes on the site, it's very hard for them to find the latest information about what they're looking for, because there's a lot of older articles that are ranking, and they don't want to read an older article, so they just click back and go back to Google search. And so if that is what you're seeing, of course there's more to it, but you'll have to do the analysis to figure out if it's bad UX that's harming your search rankings. And if that's the case, then you will have to fix your UX. In most cases, you'll have to redesign the site, or it's very easy to use. The menus are clear. The intention of your site via the UX is very, very clear. And that is only something that you can find out about, after you get like a thorough audit of the site. Look at your before and after, look at what pages are not ranking as well, why they have dropped out of search, and how people, you use a heat map to see how people are navigating your website. So there's more to it, obviously, but UX is another important thing that you should be looking at. And the important thing to keep in mind is that you need to be really good with this. You need to be really fast with this. I work with a client that has a mega site that gets loads of content, and we've developed a piece of software for them. It's merely a plugin that automatically checks if a review is AI generated. So it does that via quite a few different AI generation APIs, puts them through that directly, and then finds and flags comments that are AI generated. So the user or the person who is operating the site, they can just click, and they can know that this is all human generated content, and it's high quality content, and it's useful content. So that is something probably not everyone would want to do unless you have a mega site, but that is something you might want to do. Hope you found this useful. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.